Come on, he doing his thing. Hey, hey, hey.
Martha Peak said word for word, no rock will be left unturned. But right now, there's a lot of unanswered questions. An unbelievable car theft involving a 14-month-old baby, a man who's now in custody, and 3 different gas stations.
Wind gusts have gotten stronger and those rain bands continue to become more frequent. Make sure and have a plan in place and be prepared to get to a safe area. We've shown you the impacts of the wind all night. I don't think anything shows it better than this. Obviously, sand just whipping out here, stinging as soon as it hits your face. We're going to stay out here and bring you all of these conditions throughout the evening.
They say that a man pointed his .22 caliber gun at a stray pit bull, but instead hit a woman.
The family of a young man lost to suicide never expected the message they sent into the Gulf would change lives, but it's doing just that. This is absolutely tragic. Just take a look at what's left of the trailer here in the Resner Mobile Home Park. The condition of the 2 injured people is still unknown at this time. Now, the cause of the fire is obviously unknown at this point, but Baldwin EMC did confirm to us that a power pole was down, a power line was actually on the ground. This is a vital project. Take a look at this. Normally, Orange Beach City officials would have to find white sand in the Gulf and send it to the beaches that need it, and we like to think our mail is safe once we put it inside a post office drop box, but that isn't always the case. Tonight, folks in the quiet town of Sims Chapel are counting their blessings, knowing all of this damage from a storm on Sunday could have been so much worse. President Trump took the stage about 8 o'clock and spoke for around an hour. He began by encouraging Mississippi supporters.
And Mobile police tonight are asking anyone who lives near Spring Grove West or anywhere in this neighborhood to check your home surveillance cameras.
Residents aren't opposed to conserving the property, but they don't want to give it to a third party. Instead, wanting to keep it in the hands of the city. Fire officials say modern homes with a lot of synthetic furnishings inside have a higher fire risk and can be fully involved in just a few minutes. Toll opponents say the federal bill does give them hope, but they'd rather the state have a plan right now to cut the cost on local motorists.
A recently unsealed federal search warrant says it's on this 2-acre Tuskegee property that the terror suspects built a second compound.
Line by line, we went through the federal search warrant here in Alabama and found the items discovered on the Macon County property mirrored those recovered in New Mexico.
There's all these wood pallets stacked up over here, and it looks like there's some type of structure made from the wood pallets and plastic sheeting. If you keep moving onto the property, there's dozens of these blue buckets.
From the air, you see more clearly what the FBI described in its search warrant as a military-style obstacle course. The FBI believes the group spent at least several weeks here. We also found tires, trash, children's toys, and these respirators. Federal authorities appear to have made the Alabama connection with this group back in December 2017, when Siraj Wahaj crashed his 2004 Ford Explorer on I-65 in rural Chilton County, Alabama, about an hour and a half away from the compound. The FBI says there were 5 guns in that car, a bulletproof vest, and a bag of ammunition. Investigators say Wahaj and a friend were allowed to remove the firearms from the Explorer into a box truck. They told police they were going camping 1,400 miles away in New Mexico. 8 months later, the desert compound was raided.
Feels like we're about to get into the eye. Yep. Break out. Stand by.
The hurricane hunters aren't just thrill seekers. The data they provide to the National Hurricane Center in Miami helps save lives and property by creating better, more accurate forecasts. The day started at 2:30 a.m. with a pre-flight briefing on what to expect before boarding the WC-130J aircraft. And we were off. We were in the air only a short time when things got pretty bumpy, but it was time to start gathering data.
Take a 5 left. We're 200.
What's important about it is that this drop zone receives all the information vertically from the storm.
They really give the forecasters an idea of what they're dealing with. They can see it on satellite, but they don't really understand the makeup of the storm without this data. So it's extremely important, and we're proud to do it.
The process is repeated constantly as we pass through the storm's outer quadrants, the eye wall, and then the eye. Here, it's tranquility surrounded by chaos. We were told to sit down and buckle up as we were about to fly into the most wicked part of the hurricane, the northeastern quadrant. A jolting ride that doesn't fade the Loadmaster as he releases another dropson. Moments later, winds of around 104 miles per hour are recorded, and with that, the National Hurricane Center upgrades Michael to a Category 2 hurricane. 2 passes to go, a total of 4 passes through the eye of Hurricane Michael. During the final pass, a chance to watch at the center in the cockpit with 3 pilots and the navigator. In what felt like a blink of an eye, the mission was complete. Flight time, 8.5 hours. Reporting from inside the storm, I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz.
Flames spread throughout part of the Gulf State Park, coming dangerously close to the luxury RV resort on Gulf Shores Parkway. Some folks were urged to get out. Dwayne Bro says all he and his family could do was watch.
We couldn't have pulled our camper out if we wanted to. We just had to grab our stuff and just sort of save ourselves.
Bro and his wife rushed back from the beach when they saw smoke pouring into the sky. Worried about their children back at the camper.
We couldn't get through the traffic, and we were really kind of panicking a little bit, so we got out and walked or jogged to get over here to check on them. You had trouble breathing. You kind of had to put stuff over your mouth to be able to breathe.
Fire crews from throughout South Baldwin County responded just before 2. For hours, they battled the blaze from Highway 135 inside the state park, along Highway 59, and outside the RV resort.
At the time, we had a really strong winds coming out of the east. The fire moved out into an area that was the top weeds were very dry, and it started pushing it very quickly towards Gulf Shores Parkway.
Firefighters were able to contain the flames once the wind died down and treat it as a controlled burn until it was out. While some businesses were also evacuated, no one was hurt and there was no damage, something Bro is thankful for.
It was a pretty swampy area, and they couldn't get equipment out there. So they kind of waited for the fire to get to them. And a little scary to kind of see that happen. But they quickly put it out, and then we was able to relax a little bit.
Sunday afternoon, protesters went inside the Waffle House to get answers.
No justice, no peace.
But when police arrived, that protest took a turn. Police detained and arrested 1 person, which added more fuel to the fire from the community.
I'm angry, yes, because it keeps happening.
I'm black, I'm not a threat.
The Saraland Police Department sent out a statement saying they were still investigating exactly what happened at Waffle House and not able to comment. After the brawl at Waffle House, the NAACP president called for calmer heads to prevail until he gets answers about the investigation.
Let's find out why it happened the way it happened. The parents have confidence in us. Some of these other folks, they just want to cause a problem, right? I want a solution.
Community members surround this crime scene today, leaving with one question.
Where's the end?
Another act of violence takes the community by shock. A family member at the scene told us the shooting happened in Pritchard, but the victims drove to this intersection on Somerville Street and Barron's Lane in Tolmanville. Pritchard police in charge of the investigation only confirmed that at least 1 person was shot, but neighbors and loved ones reveal the tragedy behind the gunfire.
This just was a senseless call today. Young lady got shot, a baby got shot, a boyfriend got killed. Where's the end?
The mother of one of the victims told us on scene that her son was killed. Others in the neighborhood say a woman and a baby are now in surgery.
This is for Tyron and Anthony. Sing grace, how sweet the sound.
Tears, candles, pictures, prayer, and what loved ones called a celebration of life for 20-year-old Tyran Edwin.
He was a, pretty, upstanding young man.
And 37-year-old Anthony Terrell.
He was a good man. He was a good brother. He took care of his family.
Their bodies were discovered the day after they went missing. A painful situation for these families, but today they both had a smile on their face and say they have comfort knowing Edwin and Terrell were doing what they knew best, fishing.
It was his thing. He loved coming out here fishing.
He died doing what he loved.
The Gulf Coast beaches have a way of giving those who seek them exactly what they need, even if it's not what they expected, but instead a life-changing message in a bottle.
I cried. I said, this is very special. This is a family who's willing to share a personal story with everybody.
I believe my son found her.
Gumpert Sr. says he sent the message out from the end of Perdido Key last week in honor of his son, lovingly known as Big Guy.
He's a very sharing individual. He's an incredible young man, very, very talented.
Gumpert Jr., or Big Guy, seen in this tribute video made by a friend, died in 2010 from suicide.
I've held on to my son for 8 years. Recently, it just became, okay, he's got to be free.
Both believe it's now a message from Big Guy himself, a reminder to hold those you love close and cherish every moment.
I should be able to embrace him. I should be able to kiss him on the forehead and tell him that I love him. At the end of the day, if people can learn something from this and turn around and say, I need to hug somebody, I need to make sure that I'm there for somebody, then this whole thing is worth it.
Underground electrical works causing a major buzzkill at Royal Barbers just 2 days in.
To say I'm frustrated is an understatement.
Bridget Jerkins opened up shop 21 years ago. She says her business has been blocked by road work at least 3 times in the last 5 years.
Every time there's something to be done, they shut the street down here, and they'll say the project's going to last a week or 2, and it ends up being anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks.
The city spokesperson tells us the electrical work should only last for 2 weeks. But Jerkins says clients have already called and canceled appointments because they say they won't be able to find nearby parking. She wishes the city would accommodate smaller businesses like they paved the way for a fast food chain.
They do not do anything for the smaller, the mom and pop shows. It's kind of like you just fend for yourself.
Oh my God! Nearly 12,000 pounds of canned goods and non-perishable food items will soon be distributed along the Gulf Coast.
This here helps a lot of people. We have a lot of single parents that's out there that's in the need of help.
Mail carriers poured in and out of Pritchard's post office with truckloads gathered right off city streets from residents who left bags filled with canned goods by their mailbox as part of the nation's largest annual food drive, Stamp Out Hunger.
We thank them for all that they do to help us, because without the help of them and others and people throughout the community and the area, it wouldn't be possible for us to do what we do.
He says one can go a long way. That's why lending a helping hand was so special for these 17-year-olds Mason Fairley and Dylan Lewis.
It's so important because a lot of people in Mobile don't have a lot to eat, so we come out here and we help them out by coming out and doing these things and organizing food so they can have something.
And we just want to make sure that everybody has something to eat. You never know what can affect you in your life. It can happen to everybody.